Hey there, we are back. After a crazy few but fun days, we have retreated from Gen Con 2019 back to our little cave where we can guard our precious. Now, before we go over our thoughts from Gen Con 2019, there were a couple things that were either announced or we didn't get the chance to talk about, and we thought we should share those with you first.
Gen Con's attendance rates tend to increase every year, and this one was no exception. They set a bunch of new records with nearly 70,000 unique visitors, which is up 12% roughly from last year's attendance count. Also a new record for number of 4-day badges and Saturday badges sold, and number of events held at the convention. So clearly we can see that Gen Con is still growing, which seems insane because every year it seems like they need more and more space, and I don't know exactly where those limits are going to be. But I will say I didn't feel like this year was particularly any more crowded than last year. In fact, if anything, I felt it was maybe more comfortable than other years. I think maybe they've done a better job spreading people out to different places. I don't know. What did you think coming in?
I guess. I think part of it was also they seemed to be like they did a bit more organization at the early rush. You had to all go through the ball, so it was a little slower. It didn't feel like as crazy because they seem to be a bit more tough, I guess, on running maybe. Mm-hmm. There also wasn't as many games. I think that there were some, but not many games, at least for us, that we had to line up to get in line for.
Right, well, they had the new pre-order system on Board Game Geeks.
And I think that helped a lot too, because then people were just like, oh, I'll just pick it up when.
Because of all the events in different places, not all these people are necessarily on the show floor all at the same time. They have role-playing rooms and panels and tournaments and things like that going on. But still, it's encouraging to see that it continues to grow by large numbers. It's very exciting.
In particular, I can't remember when we reported on it, but it might even support more of the idea that they might make a Gen Con East, West, similar to the PAX style, if it gets big enough.
Yeah, I haven't heard any details about the how the Gen Con pop-up stores went. I'd be curious to hear if they, I'm sure they must keep records of attendance for those things as well to see how that did, if they would continue to do that next year. But we will see. But either way, good job, Gen Con. You did it.
Asmodee has announced it's creating a new game studio titled Unexpected Games, and it will be headed by Corey Konieczka. He was actually head of VP Research and Design for Fantasy Flight and has left that to now run this new studio. The idea behind it is it will be designing games that are fun but also innovative, and as he quotes, to surprise people and bring new mechanics in unexpected ways. So it seems to be this is more of a experimental studio. I think similar to the Searchlight maybe in Fox is the first thing that comes to mind for me. Once again, it's still though under the Asmodee umbrella. We do know that their first game will be released in 2020 and that it's a multiplayer and we won't see what's coming. Like supposedly every game they have.
Yeah, I like that they at least specified that it's multiplayer.
Oh, and heavy story. I think they mentioned that too.
Okay, interesting. I feel like this is significant because in the past year, I think we saw Christian Peterson leave Fantasy Flight, and so did Nikki Valens, and now Corey Konieczka, who his name, all the three of those people had their name on like almost any Fantasy Flight game. You could probably find at least one of them in those credits. Mm-hmm. Now he's still with Asmodee, but it is kind of interesting to see that Fantasy Flight has gone through kind of a big change, a big shift. And I don't know, I wonder if we'll see any differences in their designs going forward. I do feel like a lot of Fantasy Flight games kind of share similar, they have a lot of things like skill checks and these types of keywords that you kind of get used to. I wonder if we'll see any of that change, or maybe that's why he wanted to make a new studio and get away from that stuff. I don't know.
No, I think this is probably him and Asmodee coming to, an agreement, because a lot of the Fantasy Flight things are similar because they work. And that way also people can hop from one game to another game without too much difficulty. And there is some, I think, reasoning behind that. One, it's just nice to not having to learn a whole crazy new rule set. Mm-hmm. But of course, you want to have new things. There's a reason why we see something like Gloomhaven drop and all of a sudden everyone goes crazy, this whole new thing.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is, like I said, this is going to be more of a testing ground for them to maybe try a weird new mechanic. If it does well, Asmodee will be like, great, we own the mechanic, make a new Star Wars game for it, for Fantasy Flight. And I think that might be sort of a win-win on both sides. He can still mess around with new things, and then Asmodee doesn't have to worry about their Fantasy Flight property getting hurt because they tried something new and it crashed.
Yeah. During the show, publisher Kamon made 3 brand new game announcements, the first 2 of which are Eric Lang Designs, who of course is also the head of design over there. We've got a brand new card game based on Cyberpunk 2077 called Afterlife. This one is going to be coming sometime in 2020, inspired / based on the role-playing setting that will soon be a video game as well. It's a standalone card game that will have players trying to get the right cards, use their resources wisely in that cyberpunk world. Then they also announced a new one called Ankh, which is the 3rd and final game in the strategic trilogy from Eric Lang, the other 2 games being Bloodborne and Rising Sun. This one has an Egyptian theme. You'll be building Egyptian-style buildings, fighting ancient monsters, etc. And then they've got a brand new 2nd edition of Zombicide. This one's going to be coming to Kickstarter as well, and it is the original Zombicide, but they have streamlined everything. They have gone over and reworked a lot of the rules, a lot of the different content. It's still going to be somewhat more story-driven as well, but hopefully will retain what people like about Zombicide while improving upon that original formula. So these are some big announcements. They didn't have any of these games at the show, but they still dropped this news while we were there. Any of those 3 pique your interest?
Well, obviously the first 2. Let's start with the Cyberpunk one.
Whatever you like.
Because this is not his first card game of a video game. He actually did Bloodborne, which, if I had to make a list of games that surprised me, that's definitely one. Because I'm like, oh, it's just going to be it. I really enjoyed that game. I actually picked up the expansion there because I find that game is like very fun and like almost a streamlined version, I think, of Cutthroat.
He also did XCOM as another one. But I should point out, I'm not 100% sure how much of it is based on the role-playing paper tabletop game versus the video game. So
so I don't know, but I mean, I've seen him take a card game and video game for something where like, oh, that's interesting, but then it was really fun, and it's also not going to be 100 minis and expensive, which is also a really nice thing.
Yeah, it's plus.
Speaking of which, the Ankh, I believe his name.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Seventh Son. I did not play Blood Rage, which I think is the first in the chapter. Not Seventh Son.
Rising Sun.
Rising Sun, thank you. And I know plenty of people have said it's amazing, so it's not. I just missed out on that one. Definitely probably going to back this one because I really enjoyed that, and I'll have 2 out of the 3 at least.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Egyptian setting. It's so much fun.
that too, absolutely. And then Zombicide, I think that was one that we just missed out on for both of us. Hopefully this would be maybe a new way for people to hop in since it's starting with the base. I'm curious to see what they'll do with exclusive stuff. I know I'm one of those people who, if I don't hop on initially and miss out on exclusive things, I'm just like, I'm out.
I mean, I assume they're going to do it the same way they do every
No, but I mean, are they going to bring back old ones like that they had from the first run, or are they going to make new ones? That's the thing
yeah, I don't know, but I mean, this may be a way, like you said, we never really got into Zombicide, and there's like 12 different versions of it. But so this might be kind of a nice way, because a lot of people like those games. I've also heard things that made me not that interested in them, but maybe with this 2nd edition, it's their chance to, like we said, streamline those things and make it more interesting to someone who's jumping in for the first time. So I'm excited. Look, for all of these, at least 2 of them are going to Kickstarter, if not all 3, later this year and or next year.
Jasco is releasing the My Hero Academia collectible card game, not to be confused with the My Hero Academia card game released by a different company. This will use their new system titled Universus. Apparently, it's an updated version of their Universal Fighting card game. That is separate, but things still going on strong. They said they do mix, or at least this one will, but it said it has different artwork, different backs, so I assume you'll need at least different sleeves. And they will say they're going to do tournaments designed just for the new My Hero card game, instead of just mixing them all together. What's this really important is, as we said, My Hero Academia is probably one of the biggest anime right now that's out there. Like I said, there was already a card game made by a different company to be confused with. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I thought this was already announced, but it is a separate thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with this, like all of these collectible card games, is how can it survive in the world of all the other ones that exist out there?
Well, this is the universes system, so they imply they're going to get other properties to go along with it. I mean, this is a very big property right now for a lot of people, so I think it may survive using that alone, and we'll see what other things go in there. I am curious, as I said, another company already made a card game, so I'm wondering whether they have the sole rights now to My Hero Academia, or they just got the rights to collectible card game, and could we see that property hit some other titles or other companies make games for it if you're not into the collectible card game mechanic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Rights are always a headache to think about. Jasco does have, they do a bunch of games with interesting licenses that people like. They, of course, did Buffy, Mega Man,
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if they do mix some of those in there. I don't know. But that seems to be the hotness right now, is like games that have multiple properties that combine. I feel like we saw Dice Masters a few back.
We love Smash Brothers.
And of course HeroClix, but now we've got Unmatched and the Funko game. Yeah, it's like we're not content with just one license. We need all of them in our games now. I think maybe the cinematic universe has also contributed to that, people wanting that. But I guess I just transition to the rest of the show now and talk about some other stuff that we saw. Oh, I want to say one other thing at Jasco's booth, that they had Evil Dead 2 game box on display, and I was talking to them about that, and it sounds like they are actually they're doing a new Kickstarter and bringing back the Evil Dead 2 game, which was a whole snafu and nobody got it. It was a disaster. They bought the rights to that, and they said that if they get funded, they'll have enough to deliver games to the original backers of that Kickstarter as well.
So they're hoping new people will back it, not the original.
Yeah, and honestly, because Jasco to me they're a very reliable company. They've had multiple projects that have proven to be successful, and I didn't back the first Evil Dead 2. I will probably jump in on this one because of that. Anything else that you can think of that we saw at Gen Con, maybe we haven't mentioned before, that was an exciting thing?
I mean, I was keeping note, this is a small thing, and we didn't see it directly, but Magic was announcing a lot of their Commander sets, and actually one of the cards I've been leaking so far, was a Morph deck, designs about cards that sort of go face down, then flip face up, and actually looks really cool. So this may be a fun way for you to jump on if you want to do Magic Commander. These decks look a bit more interesting. They're not based on a tribe, but they're based on mechanics, so it's a bit more weird. That's a simple thing. Other than videos we've talked about, I think most of it we mentioned either one way or another.
We have covered quite a bit. There are a couple of games that we did get to play, though, that we didn't do full impressions videos of. One of which is Among Thieves, which was from Indie Boards and Cards, and that's a new one in the dystopian universe. Players are thieves. You're trying to hack and rob different corporations, basically.
You're blackmailing them, but you're also thieves, so you're deciding whether you're going to be good and listen to the team leader, or you're gonna stab him in the back.
Yeah, so before each mission, you can decide to be honorable or dishonorable, and you reveal at the same time what your choice was.
Different things happen depending on who's honorable, dishonorable, if everyone's one or everyone's the other, or a mix. And then each deck also has an endgame card, which may or may not flip out, depending on how cards are taken, which could change whether you win only based on money, whether you win based on having the highest honor, or whether you knock out everyone who has the highest and lowest honor, then see who has the most money. So it's a bit about managing win rates as well as keeping everyone else on their toes. It is up to 8 players, was it? And we played 4. I think our initial impression is we'd want to see a larger play group.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's a cool aesthetic. It's got that same cool style as the other games, but it seemed like kind of like the Resistance. You want that larger group to see things really get crazy and how they shake out. There was also the game Medium that you got to play. I got to watch you play, which is from Greater Than Games, and that seems fun.
They did give us a print and play because the game already sold out.
Yeah.
By then, was it Friday?
Friday, I think it was Friday.
Yeah, so it was pretty quick. It wasn't even before the heavy Saturday crowd.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is a really interesting party game where two cards come up with a word on it, and each person has to say a word that relates to both cards at the same time. They're trying to read each other's minds.
And it was especially interesting playing with strangers. My example was I played Hero, he played Kitchen. And I was thinking, of course, superhero kind of thing. He was going for sandwich, which I think is interesting because that's a very dialect thing versus, hero, hoagie, sub. Right. So totally missed me because of that.
Yeah, it seemed really fun and goofy. I think that that's going to be a really great, weird little party game that will make a good addition to other kind of word games like that are guessing games.
Is there anything else you felt like that you heard about later on that you really wish you had a chance to try? Or
I mean, there's always games that we don't get the chance to try out. There are we didn't really get to spend too much time at Starling Games booth. I came up with it. Anomaly, which was a big game that they had showing off. And
they were also showing off their expansion for Everdell, which came in the mail for me just yesterday. So we do have that.
Right, we got that. I mean, and I've been looking through some of the games that we picked up too, but haven't had the chance to play yet. The new Imperial Settlers Empire of the North is really interesting. It's like similar to the original, but there's more. There's like a worker placement mechanic now, and some other things. I'm also not sure if it has the same deck building aspect as the original did. I haven't looked into it too far, but it almost seems like they don't have any. It didn't have any rules in there that I saw for deck building, which maybe makes it a little simpler than Imperial Settlers if you're someone who likes that kind of thing. Letter Jam looks really fun from Czech Games. I think that's going to probably be a big hit with our group. What's the other one that Unmatched, of course. It's on the shelf. I was looking through that as well, and that seems really fun. It's relatively simple, but the artwork and the components, the minis, are so beautiful to look at, and I love how they all have a uniform look, even though they have Jurassic Park and Bigfoot and Bruce Lee and all these weird things. They all work together with the art style that they've gone with. So I'm really excited to try to play that. Hopefully soon we get to.
We have plenty of things to now run through. Also on the back, the final hour for Arkham Horror. I'm excited to actually really dive into that instead of more of a demo thing and actually think, because I sort of actually came in halfway.
Yeah, and even then I think they were doing the thing where they had one game throughout the day.
But we finished it.
Yeah, we were the ones who ended. I was like, we are finishing this game, and we won thanks to whoever helped us out before. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. And definitely, if you're watching this, you should let us know. If check our Instagram. You've seen all the games we've talked about that we've posted pictures of that we have. If there's something you want to see us review or do how to play for early on, so we know, kind of gauge the excitement levels of people on those things. And we're still going to have a lot more videos throughout the rest of the week. We have not put up all of our impressions videos. There's at least one more interview that will go up for games like the new Metal Gear Solid, the Beyond Humanity with Colonies, which is a really out there game that you're going to want to take a look at. A sequel to Takedo. Some very cool stuff coming from the rest of our channel. If you had to say right now, is there a best of show
a
for
best
you?
and worst than show?
Sure, if you want to say, or most. I mean, I think an easy, most disappointing maybe, because I say easy because I can say it without feeling bad because it's a cop-out, is the Aliens Colonial, sorry, it's not called Colonial Marines, Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core, just because it was in such a rough format. You're going to see our impressions about that later.
Yeah,
also.
I think that was also my...
But honestly, that didn't really disappoint me that much. I was still just excited to see it in any shape or form, but definitely I want to see more.
I guess for me, after playing even the wrestling game, which I'm not into, I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. And Firefly, which we love. So I was a bit more excited, and I didn't get that. I don't know. I guess I was a little more forgiving towards it. I was like, oh, there's aliens.
As
for best of show, I will say, in terms of surprising me, Metal Gear definitely surprised me. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I do know I really wish I got to play that Abomination game.
Oh, the Era of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I missed that. That's one of my big misses, as well as the Western game.
Sierra West.
Yeah, because I feel so stupid. I was at the booth and they were there, and I forgot that they made it. I'm like, oh, I got the expansion and not the base game the expansion for their other game. Yeah. So, but best of show, I'm thinking I'm gonna... This is one of those things where I really wish I thought a bit more in advance about it.
Come on, we've been thinking about it the last 4 days. Nothing but this.
What is your best to show? I'm going to prolong it a little bit more.
I mean, honestly, it's hard because I think two of the games that I was most excited about are ones that we didn't get a chance to play yet, and that's Empires of the North and Unmatched, that I have a feeling will probably be among the group of longer-lasting, more exciting games for me. But in terms strictly of the demos that we actually got to sit down and play, like favorite of those. I mean, there were a lot of things that I liked. I guess Marvel Champions, I mean, is a pretty big one because as a huge Marvel fan, that was just a shock and a surprise, and it did play pretty well, and I'm excited to see how all those different characters work and interact. That was definitely, the big hot one. I liked Arkham, I liked Pandemic. There were a lot of things that I thought were like decent, but I guess probably Marvel Champions was the most exciting for me of the demos we got to try.
I think the Arkham one is probably going to be my pick just because it's like, oh, it's a quick Arkham game. The Marvel one I do enjoy a lot, especially the LCG. With the way it's designed, you can really get a lot of different decks because it's easy to be like, oh yeah, the next expansion is this hero. And it plays like that hero. And I think that will be a fun thing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And because I like the cooperative LCGs a lot more, I will say. I will, though, there is one game I think I would have been most excited about. I didn't play it partially because I don't think they had a demo, and two, you own it. And that's the detective game.
All right, City of Angels.
Right. Yeah. I did say hi to them, and I'm excited to play it. I'm waiting for you to call me over when you're ready. I don't know whether that's after you solo moded somehow or you actually are.
Yeah, you can do it. There is a solo mode and a fully co-op mode, and then the standard mode is competitive between all players. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking of doing a solo run just to figure out how the rules work before introducing it to a group. But maybe, hopefully soon, hopefully at our next game night, we'll try to get a lot of these to the table.
Another one I'm excited about, and this is one I actually got in advance, but I think it's the first time for sale, was the Power Rangers game.
Heroes of the Grid.
Right. I got my Kickstarter right beforehand, so I did do a little soloing by myself. It technically doesn't have solo, but I just controlled 5 players as if to get the mechanics under. And I was actually having a lot of fun with it, and it has this really fun, unique sort of combat system, I guess we'll say for now, and how to deal with enemies with adjacent moves and stuff. And it causes some, I think, because I was thinking like, oh, if this person works here and this person. So if I think people were actually controlling different rangers, it'd be a fun conversation of what they could do.
Yeah, that should be good. A lot of good licenses in board games these days.
Yeah, it's not just the pump out as many quick cardboard things as we can.
Yeah, it's not a real stigma anymore. We've also got, there were the two new Marvel games in our greasy mitts, Wakanda Forever and Sinister Six.
Yeah, unfortunately, they sent those to us and we got them right as we were leaving for Gen Con, so it's like a little too soon to read up on, but
yeah, I mean, even then we've been busy for a while now. But there's a lot of things that we have hopefully coming in the future. And like I said, all these videos for the rest of the month, for the rest of the week, up until Sunday, we're gonna have new Gen Con videos. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon page, we also had some cool exclusive photo recaps and little mini podcast episodes.
Yeah,
you can get those for just $1 a month. You can just sign up, and if you don't like it, then you can leave and enjoy. That's my gift to you. We're also running a Keyforge competition right now, too, in celebration of Gen Con and the new Keyforge stuff they announced. It's for Age of Ascension, so you can try to win either the starter set or a deck. Simple little contest. You can sign up for that at our website. So a lot of really fun stuff going on, and definitely we want to say thank you to everybody who's at the show. It was exhausting like always, but we also got to have some great times making connections with not only publishers and people we interviewed, but just people who would come up and say hi to us and talk to us about the show. That's really, really fun. If you're one of those people, thank you. It was awesome to get to see you. It helps push us through when we just want to kind of go home and go to sleep.
It really makes us feel a lot better about ourselves.
Yeah.
The best antidepressants.
Yeah, we like that a lot. So I think that wraps up. Overall, I mean, pretty good Gen Con, maybe not. I think it almost was nice in that I didn't feel like there were a lot of giant kind of surprises and like crazy epic games.
Not like a new Marvel LCG or.
I know, but that's really the one, right? In Fantasy Flight, it's almost expected. Like that's no longer really even a surprise. It's like
I will say this is the first. We're not wearing 2019 Gen Con shirts.
Yeah,
We decided we have too many shirts, but I still got shot glass.
Yeah, also we didn't drink the Gen Con beer because I was like, you know what's not that fun anymore? At 1 p.m. in the hot sun, drinking an entire beer before having to go to an interview or a demo session.
Especially because we had a lot more late stuff this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we, I think, consistently got back to our hotel room around 10 to record more things.
Right, and edit things. So we did it all for you people. Hopefully it was worth it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know. What did you think? Were you at Gen Con? Whether you were or not, what's the thing that you're most excited for? And now are you getting ready for Essen? You know, there's another one right around the corner.
Let us know what you're interested in us reviewing, especially since you've probably seen a lot of the stuff we've talked about or maybe purchased. I wouldn't be surprised if we put a poll up on our Patreon soon of some of the things that we should review next. It helps us make a choice.
We will definitely do that. So check it out if you liked us. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this has been Roll for Crit.
For more Gen Con content, like this video, subscribe to Roll for Crit, and follow us on all our social media platforms.
But if you really need more, you can visit our Patreon, where we'll be having exclusive little Gen Con mini podcast to listen to.
And there's our contest running right now for the Keyforge Age of Ascension set. You can try to win. Find the link in the description down below.